A Mike and George adventure in Quest for the Calgary Donair. Saturday morning, Mike found George in the usual spot. So he decided to wake George up. "What are you doing?" said Mike. "Don't you remember? We gotta find a Calgary Donair today,"
Golly, Mike, it slipped my mind.
said George. Luckily for George, Mike was in a good mood. "That's okay, George," said Mike. "But where do you think we should go?"
I heard about this great new place about 7 blocks west.
said George, pointing in that direction. Mike was very excited. "Good job, George. You just saved yourself a beating." But the boys forgot they were in Calgary. Where it had been warm and sunny an hour before, it was now snowing. George suggested going inside and finding a pint.
I suggest going inside and finding a pint, Mike.
"In there?" said Mike. "What a good idea." But alas, the pub was closed. "Gee whiz," said Mike. "I guess we'll have to look somewhere else." George also expressed his disappointment.
Ugh.
But the boys' luck changed when they found a pub that was open. After the snow, George sat down to have a friendly game of chess with a local statue.
Knight the King's Rook 7 statue.
Mike also decided to play and was thoroughly impressed by the pizza-wielding statue's abilities. "Congratulations, you truly are the superior player," Mike said in a friendly compliment. As they moved through town, Mike considered getting a tattoo. "No, I don't think I need one right now," Mike decided. Finally, the boys found for what they had been searching, a genuine Calgary Donair shop. "Oh boy," said Mike, "I can't wait." But this shop was also closed for the holiday weekend. Mike was a little disappointed. "Do not want!" So off they went in search of other Donair shops. And something magical happened. The sun came out and it was warm again. Mike started to become a little disenchanted with the search for Donairs, but George assured him things would look up.
No, Mike, don't do it!
But it was too late. Mike had already killed himself. Just then, Squirrel paid a visit and used his powers to bring Mike back. Mike hopped around and found himself a nice new apartment. He was so excited, he decided to kick a statue. And George found happiness with a new love.
Oh man, this is my first time in a threesome.
Just then, the boys made an interesting discovery in the middle of a downtown parking lot. Mike decided to wait and see if Montreal smoked meat was as good as Donair's. But after 3 hours of waiting, he realized that this place was also closed. George suggested going to the mall.
I do say, Mike, is that a mall over there? Let's go to it.
And that's when Mike fell off the 4th floor balcony. "Ah, help!" and had to ride the escalator all the way back up. Suddenly, they decided to sit down and have a conversation. "Calgary sure is quite the city, isn't it, George?"
Calgary be where I frontin', dog.
"That's quite an interesting opinion. Is that guy behind me looking at my ass?"
Let's test your theory with an equally interesting scientific study. Nope, he didn't look at my crotch, so you're probably good to go, man.
"That's a relief, man. Thanks for having my back, in a non-homosexual way."
No problem, dog. We always this tight.
"I'm so lucky to have a homie like you."
Yeah, and you're lucky that I wore deodorant today.
"I suppose you're right. I guess I'll just chill out."
Oh yeah, man, I'm just chilling like a villain.
"Well, as the ancient Egyptians say, take a load off, motherfucker."
Donair!
"You are right, my friend. I think it's time we started moving along."
Yes, to wherever Zoldar takes us.
"That's damn right, buddy. It's go time,"
Eureka!
said George. Finally, they had found a Donair place that was open. George was fascinated by this particular store's ability to make chicken Donairs. Mike was so impressed by the hand-painted mural he could not wait to get inside. And thus the taste test began. Mike was intrigued by the stark lack of grease as he could not see through the bag. George was most astounded by the utter lack of drippage.
There's no grease in this.
Time to take a bite. "It's got an interesting taste," said Mike. "Very different from Halifax Donairs,"
Intriguing. It tastes more like a sandwich than a donair.
said George, chewing his food. "Yes, it certainly is interesting," said Mike.
It certainly doesn't look like a Halifax donair.
All in all, the boys had a good time on their adventure. And in conclusion, Calgary Donairs are good, but they don't compare to the real thing.